Hi everybody, welcome to It's Tam for Sports. I'm your host, Tam. On today's episode, we talk about gymnastics. I brought a very special guest with me today. Her name is Trisha Langell. She's an ex-gymnast and current head coach at Wim Gym in the West Island. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Could you give me a little breakdown on what you're going to talk about today?
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about the history of gymnastics, the difference between boys and girls gymnastics, the evolution of gymnastics, and the recommended ages to start gymnastics.
Okay, so let's start with a bit of origins, I guess. When and where did gymnastics start?
So gymnastics originally started in the 5th century BC in ancient Greece. It started as a form of military training for men who were going to war. As soon as weapons came in, they didn't need that anymore, so that became a sport. In the late 1700s, a man named Frederick John invented the high bar and the P-bars, and he made men from Germany try those tricks, and it became so popular that in 1891, the International Gymnastics Federation formed. In 1896, they had their first competition in Athens, and Germany won everything, of course, and that competition was only for men. Women only started in 1920s, and it was only until 1954 that both women and men gymnastics became a sport for both of them.
So, I guess, what are the main differences between men's and women's gymnastics?
Well, the girls compete on 4 events. They compete on the vault, the bars, the beam, and the floor. And the men compete on 6 apparatuses. They compete on the pommel horse, the vault, the floor, the high bar, the P-bar, and the rings.
That sounds very exhausting.
It is.
Anyway, well, how about we take a look at what men and women have to do in gymnastics?
Okay.
Gymnasts are so impressive, but I mean, I would assume the techniques and the equipment would also have to change over time, right?
Right, so since gymnastics originally started for a male sport, all the events were designed for them. So the vault actually started as a men's pommel horse without the rings, and there wasn't enough room to put their hands. So eventually in 2001, they got a new vault called the vaulting table because there were so many injuries going on. The bars was originally the men's parallel bars, which was about like three feet apart, not even like 2. And then as time went on, they did harder tricks, so it like grew further and further apart, which was about like 6 to 7 feet now. The beam was just a hard piece of wood, 4 inches wide, and the women would do just dance. They wouldn't even do any hard tricks in the past because gymnastics was seen as a grace sport for women and a strength sport for men. So it was only until the 70s where they actually did harder moves, and that's when they put padding to protect them and absorb the shock. The floor, they added springs recently because of the harder skills. And not only did the events change, but also the scoring system. They used to do a score out of the perfect 10, and Nadia Comaneci was the first person ever to receive the perfect 10 in the 1976 Montreal Olympics. And ever since her, other women would get a perfect 10, and it was hard to differentiate between a perfect score with hard moves or a perfect score with less hard moves. And there would also be like 10 women who would end up in first place, and there wasn't that many medals. So they changed that whole scoring system. So now they do a starting value, so based on their level of difficulty. So that didn't work out either because a man in Greece got 3rd place, but he was supposed to be in 1st place, but they messed up his start value. So the judges were fired because of that. And now they added both difficulty and deductions to it.
Okay, well, that was a long list of things. So how about we look at a video that will show us the changes over time in gymnastics. God, all those girls look so young. They must have started at what, like 3 years old? Is that a requirement to be a pro gymnast to start really young?
Yeah, actually 3 to 4 is a recommended age. It's good to start young because that's when you're most flexible and you have less fear when you're younger. And also it takes years of practice just to be strong enough to do high-level skills. So it's really good to start between 3 to 4. And once you start young, gymnastics remains with you for the rest of your life. Because when you start older, it's harder to get into it because your body's less flexible and you haven't done the proper training to be able to do the moves. And Joanna Quaz from Germany is a perfect example of that. She did gym when she was younger, and now she started back when she was 57, and now she's 86 years old and still doing gym.
86, wow. Let's have a look at what Joanna can do. Oh man, wow. Way to make me question my fitness level here. That was very impressive. Thank you for coming on the show, Trisha.
Thank you for having me.
And for you folks at home, don't forget, have a good day and stay active.